part of the Earglue Media family of podcast.
You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 323, Victory and Death. So for those of you who haven't been listening to the show or didn't catch the last one, we're recording this just hours, right on the cusp of the series and season finale. And so it's about 2:30 here in the morning, my time, 3:30 on the East Coast. That's relative because joining me tonight
It's me again.
none other than that shady guy right there. So I can't.
Yes.
One, I'm excited that you're here. I can't believe that you're awake.
I can't believe I've even accomplished this feat, and I apologize to those who thought we were going to be doing this at 4:30. We're actually doing it earlier because, well, it's fresh in my mind. I want to get this. It's kind of like an initial reaction kind of show, but
Sure.
yeah. So I tried to go to sleep early at like 10 o'clock. Like I thought, all right, I'll get a few hours in. I was restless. I think because I was thinking of what was to come and get ready for the show and all that other stuff, and I couldn't sleep. So I ended up getting like 2 hours. According to my app, I got 2 hours and 2 minutes, I think, of sleep.
Oh wow.
Because you text me, hey, it's on early, which I had a feeling it was going to be.
Yeah.
But I was up at like hoping maybe. But in any case, we're here. We're gonna talk about this live instant reaction here. So I'm excited about this.
I mean, I've seen the episode twice. To be fair, and again, it did launch earlier. I was fully expecting this thing to come out about 2:15 my time. Yeah, 3 o'clock. It's kind of what they've been doing historically. And then I think right around 11:30 or midnight, I think I started hearing I saw something on Twitter that said, "Hey, it's out, it's out, it's out," and it was just like people chattering back and forth. So I texted Mike immediately. I knew he's probably sleeping though.
Well, I set my alarm at like 2:30.
Yeah.
And it worked out perfectly because as soon as my alarm went off like 5 minutes after you text me, because I just kind of woke up.
Oh,
Like,
really?
My mind had it in my head you got to get up at 2:30. So I'm usually relatively close. Sometimes I sleep right through my alarm, which I was worried about when I first woke up. And I get your text. I'm like, oh crap, did I oversleep? And no, that wasn't it. We made it through, and here we are. And I'm looking forward to this.
Good.
This is I might not be as I don't know.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Here it comes.
I don't know if I'm fulfilled. But I think
Let's do that. Let's jump
all
right
right,
into it. So
all
you
right.
give me your overall thoughts. I know how many times have you seen it? Have you just seen it the one time so far?
just the one time. However,
Okay.
I gotta confess, I saw the key scenes on Reddit.
Yes.
And that was
they
yeah.
leaked all those yesterday,
Yeah.
and I was trying to stay away from them, to be honest.
And mine was unintentional because I went on there to find out something else. You know how you get the alerts or whatever on your phone? Like I think it comes to my email or whatever. And I was going in to check that out, and I went in and I saw it. And you know me, once you start down the path of spoilers, forever it will dominate your fandom.
Yeah, right.
And I looked and I'm like, okay, all right, this is where we're going. All right. So I was kind of prepared. But when I was watching this episode, not that I don't think it's good. I think what happened to me is I watched it and I knew about these things were happening. And I said to myself, so that was it. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I need the Filoni cut where it's just all one seamless thing. There's nothing in between saying part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. I need it all in one thing. I can't do it. So to your point, Albert, like you said, it's got to flow once. Now, when I go upstairs later today, I'll probably watch all of them in a row, and I might change my mind. But for some reason, I felt unfulfilled. I think because it's more of a headcanon thing, right? Because we'd said, oh, I want to see this, that, and the other, like we said on a previous show with Shattered. So I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with it, and I think the ending, the very end, was probably the best way to the last final. Let it go. I think it was good. But anyway, what about you? What did you think?
So for me, okay, so yeah, I'll start off by saying after seeing this episode and the last episode, I'm fully convinced that this was really meant to be viewed a very different way altogether without the breakups.
Yeah.
I think it's probably even a more emotional and powerful story when you watch it in that way. So I get what you're saying. I get what you're feeling for sure. Um,
Because it felt really quick.
yeah,
To be honest, it did. It felt like quick, and it felt like all right. Like I was expecting more with Ahsoka and Rex after that. Like I was expecting, but then again, when you look at it,
right.
all right.
You've had a
So
lot of them
yeah,
already. You just
yeah.
didn't
So
get it.
did we need anything extra with that? I guess we didn't. So when we get to watching all four at once, I
Yeah,
think it'll work fine. And I gotta believe Dave when he cut this. When you look at it, like there's gonna be a version where there's no part this, part that. It's just gonna kind of
yeah,
right through and it'll work fine. I think that's how he cut it. And that's why I think this felt a little weird to me because we just had Shattered. We had a lot of heavy things there. And then this was kind of the send off, kind of the final feel well. I don't know. I think it'll work when it flows all in one thing. But
yeah. I think other thoughts I had. It felt very intense. It felt dire. I mean, because you knew even knowing that Maul and Ahsoka and Rex were all going to make it out of this alive. We knew that was going to happen, but it still felt very suspenseful, and it even felt homeless at times, or sorry, hopeless at times,
yeah,
right? And it felt very Rogue One, very Empire Strikes Back, because the victory was the Empire. Which, by the way, we're going to get to that here later. The title, I was the entire time I'm thinking, okay, where's the victory? Where's the victory? Where's the victory? And the victory was kind of at the end, but more on that here in just a little bit. But when you watch this and you feel that hopelessness of it all, right? These things like Rogue One and this and everything else really help to kind of paint the picture of Luke as being the light and the new hope. And I just love that title more and more. I mean, these things kind of play into that and really help kind of build up and strengthen the title of it and what that really means and what Luke Skywalker means to the galaxy at this point in time. Um, I felt it was a very satisfying end for me personally. Overall, I would say in that, not just this episode, but overall, I think the series ended the way one I couldn't have expected it to end. But I'm satisfied with it. The analogy that immediately came to mind is a river, and not to get too deep here, but you've got this main stream of water going down, and as it continues to drain, it breaks off into separate, smaller streams and rivers, and that's kind of like how the Clone Wars ended, right? You had a lot of these different storylines and threads ending at different moments, with the main one kind of still going on, which eventually opened up or dumped out, if you will, into this ocean, which is now the original trilogy and what we see with Rebels, that sort of thing. So.
yeah.
So yeah, I felt like it was even though it wasn't like a comprehensive. We're going to wrap up everything in this episode. It was the finale that we needed because it really did focus on the Ahsoka and Rex relationship. So we've got the Ahsoka arc in the first one, we've got the Rex arc in the second one, or sorry,
both of them.
Rex in the
Yeah.
first one, Ahsoka in the second one, and the final arc is really kind of their group arc or their pairing
Yeah.
of an arc. So that was really great. I need the soundtrack. I really need the soundtrack. I know Kevin Kiner was obviously behind all of this again, but it was just some of the best stuff once again, and it doesn't sound like traditional Star Wars, and I'm okay with that. I'm like, it's
Well, it
really
fit. It
freaking
definitely
out about
fit.
this.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely fit the tone, the mood. He very much um was the I guess the oxygen, as they say with John Williams
Yeah,
and Star Wars. In this instance, it was kind of like George was obviously Dave, and he was uh the composer, and it was which is the oxygen for this, and it was done pretty well. So
yeah,
he definitely set the mood. He got that.
right.
That was perfect. So
Yeah, and the mood was he said it definitely. I guess the one thing I want to clear is I'm just the ambient soundtrack that they've put together is some of the best Star Wars music I think I've heard. And maybe I'm just emotional. And it's almost 3 a.m., but it is some of the best stuff I think. It's just perfect. But all right, enough of that. Let's get into some specifics here. We open up with the scene that we talked about. So when we last talked about Shattered on episode 322, I threw the question out there. Okay, so who is that coming there behind it? Is it really the troopers? Is it Darth Maul? What's
yeah,
going to happen? Well, we got our answer. It definitely turned out to be the troopers. No Darth Maul, but we got some other things right though, Mike.
yeah.
And we're gonna make sure that we talk about those things that we got
Okay,
right.
that's fine.
But yeah, so the troopers coming in, and I just loved Rex is truly a soldier in here, right? As much as it's paining him, as much as he hates us, he is of the mindset we've got to kill everybody. And
Which
Ahsoka's
surprised me, actually.
really,
I thought he would have been the one. Oh, let's my brothers, let's go stun. But Ahsoka was the one that's like, no, we're not going to do that. Now, granted, Rex does kill. If you watch Shattered, he kills the two at the door.
yes,
And he's done it. Rex is all like, all right, he's more adaptive in a way where he's like, all right, all bets are off the table. If we're going to live, we have to. He knows that. I think he knows because of the programming and how much they can't
yes,
control it. And he knows the only way you're getting out is doing this. Of course, they did what they did. And I think Ahsoka doing that, well, of course, it was the contrast with Maul, right? You had to show the light and the dark and the different approaches and everything like that. So yeah, I didn't have too much of a problem with it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was going to be reversed, though. I thought Ahsoka would have been more of the whatever, and Rex would have had with that emotional attachment of like, no, I don't want to, But
yeah. I think I just to me it spoke to like Rex's leadership or at least his pragmatism, right?
Yeah.
This is really the only thing, even though it doesn't sit well with me. These are my brothers. This is truly the only option we have, and I'm gonna just have to do. I'm gonna do what it needs to be done, right? Not to quote Emperor Palpatine here, but
Yeah.
that's essentially what happened here.
Yeah.
That was really great to see that he did that. We called the dropship, right? We made reference to the in the last episode we talked about how the escape pods were all gone. So the only real way out of this was either they were going to jump out or they were going to have to get in some kind of a drop ship. Turned out to be a Y-wing, which I thought was kind of cool.
That's a tie into Rebels, kind of. I
Yeah.
took it that way, because I started thinking of that episode with Rebels. But it is funny that they all ended up in one spot. Well, of course, there was no place else to go, so they all were gonna be there. But I was very surprised that the clones were just ready to just die. Like that was because normally they would have been smart about things, right? They wouldn't, have, but they're not themselves anymore. They're Jesse and everybody.
They're
They're
robots.
All,
I mean,
they really were just droids at that point. The mission mattered more than anything else, and you couldn't reason with them. So
yeah, Droid Federation 2.0.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Maul. I called him the distraction because that's essentially what he was. But we had that one scene where that poor trooper lost his arm.
Yeah.
And that was great because I really didn't think anything. I was like, oh, they're just showing this to be gruesome. I didn't.
Oh no.
catch-
I took the hint that because of the communication, because it was saying something when you watch that scene when his arm falls off.
It's still talking.
It's still talking, and he's looking at it like, So I think I could kind of use this to escape, and he did. So.
Right. Yeah, so that was good. He had some intel there, listening in with the gifted arm that was given to him. And then we get to the hyperdrive room, which, again, this is like, Galen Starkiller stuff happening here, where he's just like ripping
God
out
mode.
parts. He's in God mode, ripping out parts of the.
Well,
the
Ahsoka got
hyperdrive
one
and-
little God mode moment.
She
had.
did. I want to
she-
talk to you about that though, because I was like, where is she channeling this from?
Well, it's funny because she wasn't as bad as Maul. Like Maul is in that, and we always said it's amplified because of the dark side's the strongest at this point. It's in charge, really.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our excuse for the OP mode.
Right.
But Ahsoka she's more neutral, right? So I can see why her powers would still kind of be, maybe she's a little OP too. I don't know. It's interesting. So
There's one moment in there when he first walks in before he starts ripping things down, and you can kind of see the different layers of all the walkways. Which, by the way,
yeah,
whoever in the Army Federation Army or the Imperial Army, why have they never built
Put railings?
Like railings? Like, it is so unsafe. There's got to be a huge
they're expensive.
OSHA thing going on right there.
They add up, sir. Those railings add up. We got to save on that stuff.
Yeah, just cutting corners wherever they can.
Exactly. And there's stormtroopers in that. They don't really care. They're just they're expendables. Yeah, exactly.
No, but seriously, I think so. When he walked in, though, just the different layers and they were laid out, I immediately thought, "Oh wow, this looks like the room that he fought Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon in during."
Oh yeah, a little bit. See, I thought Death Star more than that, but I can see the point.
Then once they get in there and they show it, it's like, oh, that's clearly the Death Star and things that we've seen like in Episode 4 that are going to be coming up here.
But it's kind of a marrying of the two, really, because like you said, the catwalks, the way they cross was very much the Phantom Menace, and then of course the stations themselves and no railings and everything was more Death Star like to me. But it works. It's good.
So Ahsoka and Rex then make their way out of there. So he takes the hyperdrive down, disables it, does a lot more damage than that because then they've lost all thrusters and everything else. They're literally just free falling and get caught in the gravity of that moon, which eventually where they
Yeah,
land.
do we know the moon or the planet there near? Is it? I don't know. Is it near Mandalore? I doubt it now. Like it's in between Coruscant and Mandalore at some,
Right.
So I don't know what it was. I don't recall anyone saying what it was, but
No,
um
nothing that I've seen. And I was trying to even just when they showed it, I actually paused it. There's nothing. I mean, we've seen so many planets, especially in the Clone Wars. It'd be really hard. Maybe there's some significance. I would like to think there is. It'll have to come out from some interview, right, or some
oh
behind the
yeah, I'm
scenes
sure
thing or whatever. But
today when they do the extra with Filoni talking or whatever, I hope we get that today.
he's
I would
going to be
imagine.
on Good Morning America, by the way, is
Oh,
from what I heard this
well,
morning at
they
8 a.m.
yeah. Well, I imagine you and I are going to get together again later in the week and discuss a few things from this.
Are we, Mike? Are we really?
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. Well, we got the documentary to talk about too at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's a whole bunch of other stuff that launched today.
exactly. We haven't even got to that. It's May the 4th, by the way. By the way, May the 4th be with all of you. By the way, we forgot to mention that it's Star Wars Day, and I did go with
Oh
this.
yeah, I did Star Wars too.
Oh yeah, see that. Very good. Very good.
Yeah,
All
May
right.
the 4th be with all of you as well. Sorry about
Yes.
that. I probably should have led in with that, but didn't.
Well, listen, it's 3 a.m., almost 4 o'clock here. Let's
Cut me some
just
slack.
go. All right,
Yeah.
let's go. Come on.
All right, so let's talk about the hangar base. So Rex and
Yes.
Ahsoka make their way out to the hangar, and there was a great moment here where I felt like we needed some levity again, and there's a moment in there where Rex is kind of going over what Jesse and the other troopers have done. He says, the hangar bay's doors are sealed. They've got everything locked down. If they weren't trying to kill us, I'd be proud. Which I thought was funny because that's a very typical thing to say as a manager or somebody that's leading troops. Like, okay, of all the times that you guys screw up everything,
You finally learned, and now
Yes.
you're gonna kill me. That's
You're
when.
gonna- yeah.
Well, that's how it is. Management. New management. You're gonna do what you're supposed to do and take them out. But it was pretty cool though.
Yeah. No, I thought that was great, and we kind of needed it then because again, if you, it was the tension was pretty thick there.
Well, there was a few
The way to
moments
kinda
with
break
that
it.
with that breaking the tension. Like the droids, we got on them a little bit last episode, being it was kind of kid
You
like.
got on them. I liked them, but
Well, Joe really did. I didn't have too much of a problem. It was okay, but it got us to this point, and they worked out very well at this point. I'll leave it at that. But
Yeah.
continue, sir. Yeah.
So so then we get Jesse's he's kind of in charge here of the 332nd, which was great to see him in that leadership role. And it was they were very efficient, like very tactical in terms of what they were doing. They had positioned themselves hiding in the hangars. So that way,
Yeah.
I mean, because if they were going to get to the ships, they weren't going to get to those doors. And if they opened the blast doors and they would be able, or those big blast doors, they'd be able to immediately
Yeah.
come out and all that. So, I mean, very tactical and strategic in terms of what they were doing. And so they start trying to come up with a plan. And again, I think this speaks to Rex's mind thought here. Ahsoka's trying to come up with an idea here. How do we get out of this? How do we do this? And Rex is like, we're gonna have to fight our way out of this, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to kill everybody at this point because they're going to try to kill us. He says, I hate to tell you this, but they don't care. The ship is going down, and those soldiers, my brothers, are willing to die and take you and me along with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's getting really emotional. He's almost like resigned to the fact that he's just going to have to kill his brother.
Well, he didn't have hope, to be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, granted, he was trying to get the heck out of Dodge, and I'm glad Ahsoka sensed it, and she put her hands on and took his helmet off, and it made me think of Yoda in season 1, where he has them take the helmet off and says, "You're part of the Force," and all that other stuff, whatever he says to them.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good moment, and they had that connection of like, okay, we're just gonna do this. We'll get through it. There'll be, if we live, we live. If we don't, we don't. Type of thing. And but yeah, you're right. He was very much conflicted. But I got to give him credit. He had to do what he had to do. He was like, all right, so be it. If this is what it is, I mean, they're out to kill me. It's almost the Han Solo thing. Self-preservation trumps the brotherhood, so to speak.
Yeah, and now you touched on something there where, no pun intended, where she removes the helmet.
Yeah.
Because at that point, Rex is in that helmet. Rex is acting very much like he would be expected to act as a commander, as a captain, somebody in an army in the middle of a war, and by removing that helmet, she pretty much disarms him. Right?
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
she she tries to connect with the human behind that person, much like you said with Yoda. It's no longer Ahsoka trying to talk to
Captain
Commander
Rex.
Rex or Captain
It's
Rex.
Rex. Yeah.
She's just talking to Rex. She's just talking to her good friend that she just acknowledged and had that moment on the bridge where they acknowledged, being just good friends. And so that was her way to kind of really get it to him and say, look, there's other ways to do this. You need to trust me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she has, she goes on to say that, they may die, but it ain't going to be me, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be us. We're not going to be the ones that do this. So she tells him to set his blaster to stun earlier, which that was weird seeing that. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't remember another battle where we've seen that much stun. I mean, there were just circles flying
Everywhere.
everywhere
Yeah.
during the combat. So it definitely stood out. But anyways, I thought that was interesting.
I guess so in a way when they do crash, I mean, and they were stunned, they didn't feel it or see it coming. So I guess maybe that was a humane thing to do. I don't know, but anyway.
Yeah. What about the plan? So what did you think about the plan? I mean, the plan was we'll go down there. Well, I mean, she makes Rex play the certain point of view card, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
hey,
I'm so tired of that certain point of view thing. Yeah. Well,
I'm
she
not a
was,
Jedi.
but it was true though.
Yeah.
I mean, but Jesse didn't care. It didn't
Yeah.
matter that, which shows how far gone they are, like with their humanity, because the Jedi kind of instilled in them. They kind of did that, and they became their own people, and then all of a sudden, switch is put on. You're a robot. You don't even have that, and Rex can't even appease to it. That
Mhm.
order is just so programmed they can't override it at all. I mean, Rex tried, but even he got overtaken by it. So it was interesting. I liked the dynamic of the back and forth there. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. There is a slight moment in there. It's very subtle, but there is a moment in that scene where before he when Rex is talking to Jesse, he's almost trying to connect to him, not maybe in the same way that Ahsoka just connected with him, but he's like, Jesse, look, Jesse, he's using his first name a lot and talking to him about this and trying to say, look, if we do this, we're the
Yeah.
ones that could be killed later for
treason.
for treason,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I think it actually works very shortly, like very quickly. It does work because you see him, his head kind of goes down, and then it pops back up, and
Well, he mentions Darth Sidious, which I
yeah,
thought was a surprise. I thought that I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. So this must be in the chip, like
well,
you
that's what
know,
I felt like. It felt like he did he put his head down just for a split second,
thought
did
about
a
it.
check. The order kicked in again because his next line is about Commander Rex, you're in direct violation
Yeah,
of
yep,
Order
yep.
66.
Yeah,
Like so it almost like he brought down his guard a little bit by trying to connect with him,
yeah,
but that chip just kicked right back in
yeah.
and popped him out of it. So, anyways, I think it was great. I thought it was a good tactic. It was enough to stall. I mean, that's really what it was. They weren't trying. This wasn't going to be what was ultimately going to work. This was simply just a stall,
Yeah.
so they could get to the hangar and get to the ships. We did get the moment there now with the droids. Probably jumping ahead just a little bit here, but
Yep.
I like that they were causing mayhem and confusion,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I mean, it was kind of like an R2 kind of role for all of them collectively.
Yep.
Which I thought was good. That's very Star Warsy, if you will. But so the droids thinning out the army was obviously a big help. Well, let's talk about Ahsoka's move because when it doesn't work and they're sitting there taking fire, did we not see that before? Maybe I've thought about it in my head and this is just like pure head canon. But was there not a scene in the Clone Wars somewhere where Anakin did the same thing where he impaled two lightsabers and spun them around in a circle and the bottom gave out underneath them? Or am I making this up? Or maybe they
I
just
don't.
did it with their hands. I don't know.
I think she's done it with the hands where she did it was fast though. Like she just, I don't know. I can't recall, but when I go back and watch it, I'm sure I'll ask the Clone Wars expert at the Cantina Cast, Morgan, later if she
Yeah.
recalls that. So, no, I don't recall that, but that was the way it was done, and I think the way the animation has been. I wonder if they mocapped this one, like the way it was done with the movement of Ahsoka or whatever. But it was cool to see. it was nice to see. You're like, well, all right, well, Maul's having his OP moment. Well, what? Why not Ahsoka? I mean, what the heck at this point?
Yeah, and
Come on.
he kind of still had his OP moment because even the scene before that, I mean, we kind of skipped over, but I was going to come to it real quick here. He's when he makes his way into the hangar and Ahsoka sees him, she's like, okay, I got to stop him because there's
Yeah.
one ship that's been identified,
Yeah.
and he force pushes her and like sends her flying.
Flying. Yeah.
I mean, way far away than a normal force push would work that we would think it would work. So he's fully again in RP mode, overpowered mode there.
Yeah.
And then it was again I want to come back to another scene too that we skipped over that I thought was pretty cool. You know, this is one of the things we did call got right, which was R7 dying. In this episode.
And she didn't have time to even think about it because it happened really, really quick.
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh, okay. You could tell she was hurt by it, but okay, I got to move on. I can't really be too sad about it.
And what was cool is R7 is there, and you can see it on his head, in his face, I guess, if you will, or in his eyes, if you will. Yeah. He's looking around. He realizes that they're taking fire. She's got her back turned. Rex is way overpowered here at this point, and so he positions himself in between all of them, almost as a meat shield, and takes one for the team. And that you see him fall there, and is
Yep.
Dome's destroyed, but yeah, rest in peace, little R7.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty. I was a little more surprised that was it Cheap in the other one?
GG.
Yeah, got it like that. Like that was pretty cold, man. That was like, I'm like, Dave. Is it because it was Dave? And Dave was like,
Dave,
just take him out.
He's like, I want to go. How do you want to go out?
In a blaze of glory. Yeah,
blaze of glory. Yep.
Like boom, boom,
As a
boom.
droid.
I'm like, oh wow, that's like that was rough. I mean, I don't know. That was I wasn't expecting that one. I thought they were gonna kind of go with them, but that didn't happen. But it was a good sacrifice with the droids. I think that was good. They did the sacrifice. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's things like that when I said it earlier, there were things that reminded me of Rogue One. I mean, just the amount of everybody. Well, first off, that everybody dies is already reminds me of Rogue One. But you see things like Cheap and GG and R7 and Jesse, right? These are characters that we know, we like, we love. They all died in this episode, and that certainly speaks to that. But the other moment was with Ahsoka holding back Maul in the shuttle.
Yeah.
So she's channeling something here. I don't know if it's desperation. It's just renewed strength in the Force because she has nothing left. Right. I mean, maybe that's it. It's just, it's kind of like those moments where you hear about some mom lifting a car because her kid's trapped under it and she suddenly gains this, superhuman strength out of nowhere. Maybe the Force works in that way too, where you can have these moments of just pure adrenaline, right? Where her Force is enhanced, but something was there. I don't know that we've ever seen her. I mean, there are very few times we've even seen people like Anakin, as strong as he is, do something like this to hold back a ship. Again, this is right out of, Force Unleashed kind of thing. But any other thoughts as to why she would be able to kind of channel powers that extraordinary at this time?
I think because she's getting more in tune with the Force because of like the daughter and all that stuff, the whole Mortis thing and how she sees the Force now. And, it goes back to Rex when she saved him. I'm one with the Force is with me, blah, blah, blah. She's seen it more of in a neutral aspect. And I think that's why her powers were kind of enhanced a little bit. Not like Maul was off the charts here, but hers were getting there. And I think, she was a little desperate at that point because I think she mostly just wanted to save Rex and maybe Anakin as well. Like in her mind, I got to get out of here to save Anakin or whatever. And so it was desperation and it was working, but she even let go. Like she realized I can't do that. I have to save Rex and myself. Yeah. Otherwise,
I mean, she was made it.
She could have done it. I think she could have done it, but I think she's like, all right, this is not the way. I think she was listening to the Force and she wasn't listening. She wasn't going with her pride. Like I need to, like kind of the Anakin thing. Like I'm going to do this. She was more listening to what at that moment, what the Force was kind of telling her, let go.
Yeah.
Do something else kind of thing.
Yeah, and I thought for a split second there, I thought we were going to get a moment where either she dismantled the ship or something broke in the ship as it was straining to get away from her grip. But then I thought, what if we're going to get like this Force lightning moment again, like we got from
that The Rise
of Skywalker? Wouldn't that be something?
That would have been interesting. Huh?
I mean, she's kind of in the middle, right? So
that's true.
She could both.
That's interesting.
No. So anyways, that did not happen.
No, thankfully.
All right, so we talked about they kind of did the little circular thing. They cut themselves out, fell down to the bottom
I
level.
thought that was funny. They fall and then boom, they're right back where they
Oh,
are.
it's like right
And
out of the
then
frying pan into
yeah,
the pot kind of thing.
yeah, and then the droids lift them back up. I thought that was pretty good. It was good comedy for like the show. Like
Yeah.
that's Clone Wars kind of humor, which my daughter will find hilarious later on. But I thought that was funny.
The the I guess from there, we get there's basically dire straits. I mean, they're
Yeah.
trying everything at this point, and it's just been building up. I mean, we not really haven't been touched on everything here, obviously, but at this point they've been under fire. They continue to be under fire,
Well, it's
and they're
interesting
trying to
that
find another ship to get off the main ship there.
well, it was interesting because Rex got hit. He got hit, and then even
Ahsoka got hit.
got hit too. And like you felt like it was almost like that moment when she was in the medical unit there, and she was having that moment of like, all right, this is kind of it. And I think she was getting ready to say that again, and then things worked out, and Rex kind of did the thing, and then we had the flying Jedi in the air there, and
Yeah.
so yeah,
The So he gets we get word they make their way into the atmosphere. They're in this moon that they're on a collision course with, and we find out they've lost all their forward controls and everything. So this ship's really, I mean, this is like the ship right out of Revenge of the Sith all over again.
yeah.
All right, free falling for the most part. But there were some intense moments here, and there's from this
Well, it
point
made me
on.
think of like Battlefront 2. Isn't there a moment in the story where you're kind of going through like junk in the ships or whatever? I can't remember now,
There
but
is,
maybe I'm
yeah,
yeah.
Battlefront 2 and then Fallen Order 2 has got some scenes like this
Yeah.
as well.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, this is it's very video game-ish. And Ahsoka's like, I mean, she's like masterclass when it comes to like running on top of ships
Apparently, yeah.
low
She that's what she was going to train at the Jedi
subspace
Academy there.
orbit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe. But yeah, and to I want to make mention that from this point on, there's no dialogue for the
No.
rest of the movie or rest
Well,
of
it
the
wasn't
episode.
yeah,
There's no dialogue here going on. It's all action.
and even in the beginning there wasn't much. But that's how like I said, it's kind of like a silent film, and of course they did that in the end
Yeah.
actually, which was great. As you were saying, because you didn't need any words. There was no reason to say anything. You just
Yeah.
went with the emotion and the music and everything else. But
Yeah, I thought it was a great choice.
mm,
The animation here also, I just want to touch on that, was crazy. I mean, the animation in this episode alone is the whole season really has
yeah,
been top notch. Especially when we get to the aftermath, the victory part of it. I loved it all. But especially here, there's just so much going on. I mean, you can watch that frame by frame. There's things flying around. I thought I
mm.
saw a clone trooper flying in that was flying
Oh, you
off.
might
That
have. Yeah,
guy.
yeah. You probably had. I'll have to look at it again when I go upstairs and take a look again. But yeah,
She
there was a lot.
eventually
Yeah,
she eventually makes her way to the A wing, or sorry, the Y wing that Rex was able to commandeer, and they escape, I guess, if you will. Um,
I did
and
have a problem with this though. With her escaping and doing the parachuting, skydiving thing.
mhm.
I'm saying to myself, well, you just cut a hole in the floor like a ninja there, and you did that like all these other maneuvers, like with the force and everything. Why couldn't you just kind of leap your way into the cockpit there, like
Yeah,
by the force? It's a technicality, drama. You got to have that in the story and everything. I just thought like you could kind of just, find a
yeah,
way
I'm
to,
with you. The first time, like when Rex looks over and finally realizes that
yeah, you
or
would,
she's off to the right, I thought, oh,
oh,
she's just
she's,
gonna use the force, float right in, and they're done.
that's
They're
it.
out of
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Which I was a little surprised by. And I'm like, oh, all right. It
Yeah,
is
maybe
what it
she was
is.
depleted at that point or
Could have
tired, or
been. Maybe.
she just went
Maybe.
through a lot.
The midichlorians were like, we need a break, man. You did a lot of OP with that ship thing. We can't,
Yeah.
can't do it. So I don't know. But anyway.
All right, so let's get to the very ending here. They land obviously on the moon, and the next scene is them. Some time has passed, not a lot of
Yeah.
time, but some time has passed because Rex is
Probably a day or two.
buried
Yeah.
buried a number of bodies, and you can see he's kind of walking back. He's got a shovel, and we got some just great imagery here. I mean, the shot that you can see behind us here, if you're watching the show right now, the with Ahsoka standing there and watching and looking at all of these, helmets that are basically on pikes. I mean, it's just the imagery itself it says a lot. She looks very similar, very familiar in
Yeah.
the gray robes and just the imagery that we've seen from Rebels, the imagery, the stuff that when you think of Dave Filoni when he does his little sketches and his
Always
little
puts her in the
artworks.
poncho. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
puts her in that poncho that's there, which is great. No pun. No, I mean that's intentional for sure.
Yes.
There's you can see R7 as well. I don't know if you caught that, but
I did.
underneath the Y wing, they've almost pieced them together. I don't
Together. Yeah.
for no other purpose than just to kind of collect his remains. I guess he doesn't look like he's intact by any means. He looks like he's really dead.
Done. Yeah. True.
But I thought that was a little nice little Easter egg if you didn't catch it there. And then that scene with Ahsoka standing there looking at the helmets when it finally cuts back over and you're panning. When they first started showing the right hand side of what would become Jesse's helmet, which would be Jesse's helmet, I
Yeah.
thought for a second it was going to be Rex's
Rex.
helmet.
Which would have made no sense though, because Rebels, he's got
the
his,
helmet.
He's
Yeah.
got his helmet. I thought they were going to kind of make it look like Rex's helmet, but they didn't do that. So
Yeah. So, and it kind of ends there. I mean, there's one final shot of Ahsoka, actually two final shots. One a really high
the high shot.
shot, and I don't want to jump ahead too much because I want to talk about the daughter, but I thought, okay, well, maybe this is the perspective. Maybe this is through the eyes of the daughter. She's here in this moment, and then she's going to be here a little bit later as well. But that's like an aerial view of some shot. If not, then it was just really to kind of show this large,
the scope
angle.
of the scope of the how many bodies were buried and all that stuff. But you
What
can
was
look
going
at it.
through your mind? I want to know what was going through your mind as you were seeing this imagery here that was coming up.
I mean, I felt a bit of it's kind of sad, really. I just kind of like, oh wow, this is it. Like the end is here, and I felt a little bit of like Ahsoka's conveying a lot of unknown and sadness and kind of like what next kind of thing. Very well. Again, no words or anything. You just kind of feel it with the music and her and what she's doing and like her, just letting go of the lightsaber, which was important because she was letting go, which is something Anakin can't do. She let go, which shows where her mind, her path is initially, like where it's going. But yeah, I mean, it was just great to see. I mean, I have a debate of whether that is her little friend there, and it's not Anakin. The white owl, not the white owl, but whatever the white convor. I don't know because it was so high up, I couldn't tell, and the wingspan looked bigger than what it normally was. Maybe I'm wrong here, but you can tell me I'm wrong or whatever. But yeah, I liked it. I mean, like I was saying to you, it was kind of satisfying this part. It felt quick and like I wanted answers to other things, but if you were it's like that shot in Rebels where Obi-Wan's looking on Luke, like that could have been the last shot of the series. That would have been great. But that's not what happened. But in any case, what are your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I would say the well, let me touch on one thing too.
Okay.
The lightsaber.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. I mean, hats off. That's visually they've put that together with computers, right? To think about it. I mean, you can see everything in her eyes. You can see what she's thinking about, or at least it makes you wonder what she's thinking about. And she keeps looking at that lightsaber because that really is symbolic of who she is and who she was up until that moment.
And her connection to Anakin as well.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. The connection to Anakin, which segues into the next scene here. And she's looking at it. She finally, at one moment, she kind of lets it go and then pulls it right back. Like you can see, it's very subtle. Her fingers go forward. She kind of pulls it back to herself. Gathers herself one final moment and then commits to it, and then finally opens up her arm or her hand and lets the lightsaber go. So that was I thought that was telling that it's hard. That's got to be really hard for her to say, I have to do this. And, I started thinking, well, I wonder if anybody was there with her, if she had spoken to anybody in the last couple of days, right? Maybe she spoke to a Qui-Gon or she connected with Yoda or some way or whoever. But, I don't know. Maybe not. But
that's what I mean.
She knew she had to do it, though. That's all.
Yeah. They were like, you wondering about fives because they mentioned fives. The previous episode with Rex, he's like, get fives and nothing. I mean, like but then again, you don't want all the answers, right? We'll get those at some point, I imagine, right? Yeah. That's where I felt like I wasn't totally fulfilled. The ending was perfect, though. I think they ended it beautiful the only way you really could, really. But.
Yeah. There's also something here. So that was kind of like the last scene, and it transitions into the next scene, which is Anakin or I guess I should say Darth Vader.
Which we were right about. We were right about that.
Yeah.
We got that. We got that right.
But there's
not-
I want to talk about that transition scene. I've got it in the show notes here. I was going to pull it up and see if you want to. I don't know if we've got anybody still watching. I know it's pretty early, but I wanted to actually throw it up on the screen there so we could talk about it
All right.
because it does look.
Do you want to put it on your screen, or you want?
Yeah,
me to
no, I was going to share it real quick, and what I'm talking about is the actual scene where as they're transitioning from. Let me put this up here.
You're talking because of the style of the animation, because this is
not so much the style, but just the imagery here, the outline. I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
So what's happening is we've been kind of lingering on Ahsoka. She's been contemplating whether or not to let go. She does let go of the lightsaber, and then as that fades out,
Mm-hmm.
the other scene, the new scene's coming in, which is kind of like a flash forward scene or a feature scene where you've got the Lambda class shuttle coming in, and the imagery here is Ahsoka. Which, by the way, the way they've cut it. It almost looks like you can see like Vader, her outline with her hood on looks kind of like a Vader helmet, right? And it's actually Vader that's coming in on the shuttle right over her. And if you freeze it just right at that moment there, you can see these two glowing eyes.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but I saw it the first time. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. It looks like,
That's pretty cool.
telling that this is Vader that's about to land kind of thing. And so, anyways,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, no, I liked it. But yeah, the whole triangular imagery is really the big thing, right? Ahsoka's head, Vader's head, and then obviously the Lambda class shuttle. It's all this triangle. But yeah, so this is the Vader scene, which will probably be known as the Vader scene going forward.
Yeah.
For when we talk about this episode.
Yeah.
Not a lot said here. He walks up. I do like the animation.
Now,
Like I said, it was great.
Well, let me ask you this though. Did you get the vibe that the animation was more Rebels like at this
No.
point? No, you didn't get that? I was
No.
trying to tell with the Stormtrooper's helmet, like, because in Rebels, they're like the underneath is bigger than what it should be. So I was trying to look and I couldn't really tell. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, I get what you're asking. No, I get what you're
Yeah.
asking me whether or not this is like early on like immediately after.
Oh no. I'm
this,
just asking because when this happens, because in my theory here, and I'm sure you agree with me, and everyone else is going to say the same thing, is that this is after he encounters her in Rebels, when he's like, "Oh, the apprentice lives," and then he tracks down this, and that's why I was wondering, did the animation change to Rebels like at this point than it was previously with the Clone Wars, or am I just seeing things crazy like? Because in my mind, this happens after he encounters her with when he says, "Oh, the apprentice lives," and Ahsoka has her head blown up there and her mind there, kind of like, "Oh my god," type of thing, and he goes off looking for the answers as he does, like he did with Luke, right? When he finds out about Luke, he has his he goes on his little mission there. So that's kind of what I took this as. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. What do you think?
I actually took it the other way, and here's
Okay.
my reasoning. For a couple things. One, they're on a planet that there's snow,
Yeah.
and based on the amount of snow that's accumulated, like you can still see the helmet sticking up. They've only acquired about 3 feet of snow, so I don't know anything about the climate.
that makes a good point.
I don't know anything about the climate or any of that, so I'm not going to argue that. But when I saw that, I thought, okay, well, it hasn't been that much. There's been some time it's passed, but not that much time that it's completely engulfed now or buried in the snow itself.
Yeah.
The other thing was just if I was Vader, if I was Anakin Skywalker,
You'd want to know.
yeah, and I'd want to know, like, I want to, because Luke's not in the picture yet, right?
Yeah, true.
There's really no Rebel Alliance per se. They're not really causing too much havoc yet. So his only duty at this point is cleanup duty. He's checking on, right? They go back to the Vader comic. He's checking. He's got a list. They know which Jedi survived. There's probably one on there that's unknown that he probably wants to confirm. And so he's probably got probe droids, scanning the galaxy, looking for her. And when they find this ship, when I assume that probe droid is what found that ship, and it finally, they've been looking for it.
Yeah.
And so he immediately jumped on the next plane out of there so he could get out there to see her. But
no, you make a good point.
I put this before he does encounter her. I thought it was the imagery here was cool though. I liked him igniting the blue lightsaber. That was kind
Yeah,
of weird, almost displacing, right? To see him holding a blue lightsaber as Darth Vader,
yeah.
which I thought was neat. And then we get the convor scene, and I don't know what the reason is behind it because there were a lot of times when we saw the convor in Star Wars Rebels that were never explained to us in by Dave Filoni. So I don't know that we'll ever get an explanation as to why we saw it here. The only
Well,
thing is we know that it's synonymous with Ahsoka, and we know it's synonymous with the daughter.
well, you say that, but if you watch, and that is true, that is all true. But if you watch the Rebels, the uh the episode where what the hell I can't Master and Apprentice, whatever the heck the
Twilight of the Apprentice.
thank you that one. When he's walking away, his version of that is there, the white one, which
Mhm.
is almost symbolic of like the father. So that's why I'm confused in this one because I couldn't really tell.
No, you can't. Yeah.
My eyes are little, and the wingspan looks bigger than it normally does. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Maybe the father's really flying around there, or the
Maybe
son.
it is.
I don't know. So that's kind of how I took it, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was the daughter, like kind of like a saying, Anakin, she's still alive, and blah blah blah. This will get resolved one day, or something like that, in his mind. Because it was a good shot when he looked up, because it did bring his attention, and he's like looking right up at it. And now I swear I saw his eyeball, but I could
Yes.
be, yeah, a
Yeah,
blue,
no, there you can definitely see it. And it's the old school 1977 Darth Vader helmet
yeah,
that
the
would have the
red,
red eyes that they
yeah,
later changed to like the darker black looking
yeah,
ones.
yep.
But yeah, you can actually see both eyes. The right eye is a little bit darker,
Hmm.
but you can definitely see both of them there in that shot, which is really
Yeah,
cool, kind of eerie.
yeah,
And then finally, the last shot is Vader walking away from all of this, and he picks up the lightsaber. We kind of skipped over that, but he does pick up that lightsaber. Oh, actually, I want to ask you this question. So
yeah,
she only drops one lightsaber,
yeah.
and I watched on the second viewing. I went back and
You
made
only see
sure
one. Yeah, there's
she's
only
got both of them on her hilt. When she gets into the Y wing,
she's got two.
you can clearly see both of the lightsabers on her hilt or hilted. So why only one? Why did she only get rid of one lightsaber? Why did she only drop one? And maybe she dropped the other one too. We don't know, but
I don't
we only
know.
saw her drop one. So
Yeah,
why did she keep one?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe one to think about, just to have, because she knows she's gonna need one. Which conflicts with a whole whole other thing.
Yeah,
It's funny when I saw this one, I'm like, oh, Albert's he's gonna have issues with the book, and how
the
that
novel.
is like irrelevant now, and all that stuff, and we're gonna get the certain point of view stuff, which is gonna annoy me and everything else. But I don't know. I want to say she took it because she needed that one, or maybe she realizes she doesn't need two anymore. She can she's on her own. Like, it's kind of like, I don't need Anakin anymore. I'm letting go of that connection and all that stuff. But she kept the one that she really need, the longer one. I think this is
This is a shorter one.
the shorter one. Like, she realizes, I got to be my own Jedi, or whatever the heck you want to, my own Force user, or whatever it is. So she needed that one particular one. So,
Yeah,
but she ends up getting two again anyway. So
I don't know. Maybe I'd like to see that if she did keep it, I would like to think she didn't use it because that really contradicts what happens in the novel. But if she did keep it, then I'd like to see this come back up later on. Maybe she hands it to Baby Yoda after she's trained him.
oh,
Maybe
jeez.
maybe there's a
Speculation going now.
yeah, maybe in whatever sequel series we get from Rebels, there's an opportunity there where she needs to give somebody a lightsaber, and she's like, "Well, I've been holding on to this one, and I'm going to give it to you now," kind of thing. I just like there's. It seems like there was a purpose for her only dropping one and holding on to another one,
Yeah.
and knowing Dave, maybe he's got some long
Oh,
term
he's gonna
plan
tease us for
there.
the next 6 years and drive us all crazy, like he does. So that's what he does. But
But yeah,
I
so anyways, the final image is one of the 332nd helmets laying there on the ground. You can see Vader kind of walking away. You can actually see his shadow, his reflection in
yeah,
the clone helmet. The helmet itself is shattered. You can look at her; it's not shattered, but it's cracked down the middle. So there's a
yeah,
lot of symbolism here,
yeah,
completely buried, that kind of thing. So anyways,
yes,
I guess the final question is if we put this at the moment that Vader, or if we put this just days, weeks, months after this all happened, do you think this was enough to convince Vader that Ahsoka Tano is gone? She's not around.
I think he thinks she's alive, maybe, possibly, but he doesn't know because I think that's why you get that line in Rebels. Oh, she did survive.
Mm-hmm.
I think he, and I think you're right. This is probably maybe a year after the events or whatever. Maybe that was springtime. So then, what is it? Maybe 3-4 months later, it's snowing and everything. So maybe, um, I think he just doesn't know. I think he wants to get the answers, and I think he's been investigating it, but never, as time went on, never found her. There was never answers. Kind of like Kenobi, right? Like he knows he's out there, just can't do anything about it, and that so forth. So, I think the the convoy flying around and everything, or whatever that may have been, was assigned to him. Okay, she's probably alive, but I don't know. But you got to think back to like the Twilight of the Apprentice. He even says to her, "We don't need to be adversaries." Like I don't think he would have ever killed her until she said, what she said. Like I think he would have just kind of, avoided her as much as he could. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know.
Do you think he? Well, no.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just thinking maybe. Do you think he ever would have tried to take her as an apprentice, given how crazy he was at that point?
I don't think so. I think he was doing like when you see him in Twilight of the Apprentice, he's like, we don't need to be adversaries. Kind of you go your way, I'm gonna go my way. The past is dead or whatever. Kind of like one more like big brother moment of like, just go over there. I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah.
Type of thing. But she pushes it, and then he channels his dark side and realizes, well, you're my last tether to the past, and I'm just gonna kill you, so to speak, and to show how far he's really fallen. But there is a little bit of yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, that's it, Mike. I mean, that's how it ends. That's how it all ends. We now know the full story.
It does, well, you
of
could
the
look at
Clone
it.
Wars.
You could look at that last shot of the helmet with Ahsoka's paint on there, of like Ahsoka watching over him, kind of like walking away, and kind of like especially with the convoy flying around, type of thing. The symbolism of that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was an interesting shot. It is a good shot for the last shot of the Clone Wars. I thought that was pretty good. It also ties in with remember the trailer where the helmets were all getting shot at and stuff, and you see the camera zooming in, like that first
right.
trailer we got.
The very first one, yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of made me think of that, and I don't know. Overall, it was really good. I think it was a good send off overall with the whole thing. But again, I need to see it 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row to really get the full emotional impact. I think, which is odd when you think about it, because we've had 4 weeks here of kind of our emotions being up and down with this, good and bad, and all that other stuff. But I don't know. What do you? What's your final takeaway on this?
I don't know. It's. I haven't had a lot of time to kind of digest it. But again, I'd say reiterate what I said earlier on. I mean, this was satisfying to me. There were a lot of things I still wanted. I still want to know. A lot of things that we weren't told.
Didn't get,
and teased about, and all of that. I mean, part of me is sad that we didn't get to see the Martez girls. We didn't get to see Bad Batch. In this. I mean, some of the stuff that we were kind of hoping for didn't happen, but
Echo 5s, we don't know what's going on there. So
Gregor, Wolf.
Yeah. And I thought we would get that. I thought we'd have kind of that, this is what's going on here, blah, blah, blah. This is how they meet up, Rex and his buddies. And even Cody, I didn't get that resolved of how he was trying to deal with that. Like, none of that at all.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. I think now that you think about this, Albert, with because the stormtroopers are in play here. They're not the clones, so this can't be like a 6 months after the. I mean, when did they deactivate the clones? Like, when did that happen? Like,
it was almost immediate.
Oh, was it? I don't recall that, but so I don't know.
I mean, I mean, there's probably some natural time that happened.
Yeah.
The order to do so was almost immediate, though, from what I recall.
All right. I'll have to look into this, though. I mean,
but you got to think about it. Okay, so yeah, you're going to deactivate them, but there's a lead in time that you've got to do to recruit people, right? So and then train them and all of that. So I think maybe a year has passed. I think that's probably a good timeline.
I'll give you no more than 3. So
no
when
more
that
than
window,
3 years?
yeah, I'll say that within that window, because it's still it's funny when you look at Vader when he's walking. You can tell it's like skinny version of Anakin from the Clone Wars. Like you can tell it's like, oh, it's his profile, and they just slapped a Darth Vader skin on him.
Right on top.
It was pretty cool though. I liked it. But yeah, lots of mysteries. Again, Maul's probably one of the intriguing ones. I'm surprised we didn't get Bo and what happened on Mandalore. What's going on there? So at some point, I'm sure we'll get that. We'll get those answers. I just don't know when,
Yeah.
or how. So
Yeah, or how, right? I think that's the key, is whether that's going to come via comic book or book or any of that stuff. There's still, again, there's just a lot of story here, and I know we've talked about it before about whether or not we're done with this. Are we burnt out on this era of Star Wars and
that was
things
one of
like?
the more popular ones, to be honest. This
Oh,
era,
absolutely. But I mean,
so
when you see things like this, it's like, wow, okay, yeah, maybe I could do, maybe I'll go one more round with the original trilogy era, right? I mean, there's definitely stories here that need to be
yeah.
told when now that you think about it. So
Well, how do you tell that? I mean, you couldn't have like Rex. Couldn't be. Could you have a Rex Disney Plus series? It would probably have to be animation, not so much. And I don't know how that would be. I mean, life as clones trying to survive after the fact. That's an interesting story. I don't know if it sells well, but I'm intrigued by it. So I don't know.
yeah.
We'll see soon enough.
All right. Well, I guess I think we're gonna kind of wrap up here. We don't really have, uh, we're not gonna do all the other stuff that we normally do. I will say this though, we've got Mike and I have been talking about maybe coming back and doing some kind of a series recap, finale, retrospective show of some sort. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna probably take a 2 week break here. We'll
Yep.
come back and touch on Leia from the Rise of Skywalker novelization. So we've been trying to get that show out here for a little bit. That's already ready to go. So you'll see that here next as episode 324. And then maybe after that, Mike, we can come back together, get back together and talk more Clone Wars and all of that. So
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do that, especially with Dave's comments are going forward. Maybe we'll get some of those answers that we're looking for, and of course, we'll be doing the whole the documentary on the Mandalorian. I'm sure we'll be diving into that and whatever else gets announced. Now, I hope they don't announce like, oh, we get a trailer for the Mandalorian later today if that happens, because then it's like, oh, now we got to go do that.
that's going to be a special show. We'll have to break in on that one.
Yeah, that one, yes, definitely. But that I don't think we'll get that. I wouldn't be surprised if we get that. But yeah, that's you'll hear from us anyway.
Yep.
We get stuff coming. So in any case, I'll hit the button if you're ready to go, sir. And
Hit
we
the
can get
button.
out.
We'll
All right.
see you guys here in about 2 weeks.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, to everybody that joined us.
Yes. Thank you.
You're still listening? Wow.
No.
That's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.